Welcome to another interesting episode where we will be interviewing an industry expert in supply chain management, an initiative by MantraTalks and InsurTech 100 firm building products and solutions for the changing world. Today, we have Mr. Deepak Singhvi who will be sharing his views on the impact of this crisis on supply chains and possible mitigation strategies or opportunities that could help revive the industry. Deepak has Deepak works as a software architect for SAP Ariba, where he is into designing and developing solutions in the area of B2B E-procurement marketplace. Deepak has more than 15 years of experience in big data, analytics, and platform development for various industries like e-commerce, banking, and semiconductor. He also has experience working with startups, where he supported building a startup from scratch. His areas of interests are big data, business intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, e-commerce, and automation. Mr. Deepak, a very warm welcome on behalf of MantraTalks.
Thank you, Delia, and thank you for having me here.
All right. To begin with, Deepak, this crisis has had quite an impact on supply chains. So what, according to you, are some of the challenges that organizations are facing due to this disruption in the global supply chains?
Right. So first of all, what kind of disruptions are there, or do we have? Yes, we have a lot. And we can gauge this thing with just by understanding that how this pandemic is also different. So we had a similar kind of pandemic, or maybe of the different scale in 2002 as well, and which was SARS. China being the world's factory, and during that time, China's contribution to world GDP was around 4%. And now during this time, it's somewhere around 18 to 20%. So this is a big shift in what China is contributing, and they are touching every aspects of the business and all kind of businesses and everywhere in the world, because China is manufacturing for the world. So that's why this disruption, which is going to be really big. Still, we are currently in the mode where pandemic is still going on. There'll be post-pandemic effects also. So we need to even not manage now, but even manage later as well, post-pandemic, because people's buying habits, which is correlated or they're in the end of the supply chain, is really different. They are kind of creating a situation where blue effect is there, and which is really troubling the manufacturers a lot in the supply chain, and they cannot really estimate in the right way what is the right set of inventories they should maintain, what kind of production they should do, and really even they do the production during this current time, the logistics are not really in the right place or the right way can be used. So right now, nothing is in the right place or in the shape. So that's the effect is going to be really huge that we understand from the GDP share which China is contributing today.
Very truly said, absolutely. Just a small follow-up question over this is that another issue organization is money an issue also that organizations are facing. I mean, because essential goods and services which the consumers do need, they cannot be affected for too long. So yeah. I mean, is money an issue for delivering or creating a problem in the supply chain?
Of course, money is also an issue, may not be for bigger companies, but there are lots of companies which are contributing in the supply chain, and those are either the startups or small scale industries, and cash liquidity is really one of the main factor. Cash is the blood for the business. And so those who can really maintain good cash liquidity in whichever the way by reducing their unwanted expenses or planning for very short-term needs. As you see that a number of governments are doing provisions for small scale and startups. For example, government of India has done via SIDBI. Government of France has done, I think, 4 billion euros provision, or Germany has done 2 billion. So those they have done very specific for the startup. So they are understanding what the industry needs are, or they would really need a working capital or short-term capital, short-term liquidity. So every industry or every manufacturing unit needs to make sure that they have enough, because they are somehow able to survive for current time or for this current quarter, but the next quarter they would really have a difficulty to bring everything in place. Yes.
True, absolutely. I mean, the next quarter will be quite crucial to know how things will go about in the economy.
Yes.
So, as per a March survey conducted by Institute of Supply Chain Management, nearly 75% of companies are reporting that supply chain disruptions due to coronavirus related transportation restrictions. So, how is technology, how do you think that technology will address these concerns moving forward?
Sure. So supply chain, it's not only or technology is not going to really help only in the supply chain, but I think for supplying many other things, not only the physical good, but many other things. That's what is becoming kind of new normal. People are working from home, people are learning from home. And if those technologies were not present, either people are focusing to build that, or those who have in some form, then they are extending it. But let's understand that kind of problems which are there and why technology is important. So let's see that when US and many other countries, they started moving their manufacturing and the production to China 3 decades back. So that time the supply chain was always about cost. How do I improve my cost? How do I, and operational efficiency was always about the cost. But then if I see in the recent past, maybe 5 to 10 years, then another factor got added to this, which was like risk. And that came because the kind of tariffs which government were trying to put, or the restrictions, and their possible impact of not getting a supply from China in opposition to it. So that was a second dimension to it. And now COVID is getting the third dimension to it, and that's we can say resilience. How resilient your organization is with all these disruptions, so that you can plan in a such better way. When it was only about the cost, a single human being could really do a great work of managing the cost, and you can apply or take some kind of assistance of tools and technologies. But now I see a shift in it, that because your dimensions are increasing, which a human intelligence cannot really manage it. So what is really required? Technology is taking a place of a human, and a human is going to assist technology to compute whatever the right set of things are required, or the right decisions need to be made. So technology is going to really play a very important role in supply chain, and those dimensions are really going to increase, and it's going to become more and more complex, which normal with a human way of intelligence, we cannot really solve it.
Absolutely right. As you rightly said, technology will play a very important role right now. But like I said in my earlier question, it's just a small follow-up question, where right now money is an issue. How do you think companies will go about investing more in technology?
Right. So money is an issue, and technology is really going to help in this as well. So there are very for different cases or different industries, this is applicable different. Like if they're a fintech, it's something different goes for that, and at the same time with e-commerce, then you need to deal that problem in a different way. So companies need to make sure that they have enough liquidity, they maintain their cash flows well. They plan for their short-term and the long-term borrowing. Those who are dependent on the investor funding, they also need to get those, and to get these funding in this difficult time is only possible if companies are making a difference and they are innovative enough. So that's the very easier way to manage the funding now, because investors are seeing the kind of value which you can create. And this is the right time, because technology-led business really is the time, or which is really the need of an hour now. And getting a funding would not be difficult if they are on the right path for bringing their products into market with the right set of innovation. So getting a money is not difficult, but whatever you have it, you make sure that you squeeze your unwanted uh, planning which you had it. And if you need to really shift your focus from a business to a different one, then that's the thing. Because assume this, that there was a good to have kind of product, or the luxury products. Those would not be in the real need now. And if companies and startups are there in that area, then they can plan for a shift. Because for another 2 to 3 quarters, if we don't see a economic growing in the right path, then even whatever the cash liquidity or cash flow which they have it's going to shrink more and more, and it will be difficult to survive. So that's why if those who can even make a shift, they can do a shift with the current situation, keeping the current situation in mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, since we are talking about technologies, my question to you is that do you see technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality playing a greater role in procurement process?
I feel, of course, that's the case. So I myself have some kind of experience with augmented reality, which was for procurement, and which I feel like it's going to, enhance the experience of the user with the AR and VR. So am I at home and I really need to follow the social distancing? This is for the short term, of course, but even in the longer term, either with the social distancing, or I really cannot manage to go out, so I would need a similar kind of experience, and AR and VR are going to do that. People are working from home and they need any kind of support and help. And again, AR, the VR based tech support, there's a number of solutions like this, and a number of those which can be built are really important. Employees are getting trained with the virtual reality rather than really being the plant or any other physical location. So those are also going to help. So, and the application of all these are there in every segment of the industry, or different industries and different business units. So they would really be, getting a good share in this need of now for the change.
So, my another question in technology is now on AI. So, how does AI-based technologies like machine learning and automation play a role in supply chain management? So, do you think that investment in AI is still relevant for enterprises during this pandemic crisis?
Of course, more than ever, actually, I will say that, because as I was mentioning about the number of dimensions are increasing, that means the cost and the risk and resilience. And these dimensions are going to increase. And then you really need to have something, a very intelligent system, which can, do some rule-based computing and automatic stock verification, or doing something that you need to increase your stocks, and that to be, it's going to be very intelligent. They need to even consider the various factors, like what if it is blue wave. That's very, this kind of situations where blue wave effect comes, and these systems should be able to handle those also. So AI is going to really play lots of or the bigger role into the new way of doing the supply chain or supply chain solutions. Automation is every step in the business would be really, they are very much placed with the right set of process. The only thing is now automation is required, because during these kind of times when you really need a shift from automation or from manual way to automation way, then that's the thing, so that your interruptions are lesser, and you can really keep making sure that your operational efficiencies are becoming operational continuity or operational excellence, followed by that. So AI is really going to drive that.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I have a small follow-up question over here as to is can you what according to you is that one or two pain points in supply chain which can be addressed by AI? So it might be, is it stock or is it the procurement process? Is any part of the supply chain push for AI or automation?
Today's systems are there in the place. There are some kind of processes. For example, if I talk about the supplier side, and there are the process of the buyer side, and they try to collaborate over any kind of system. For example, SAP Ariba also has supplier collaboration, and where everything is in the right place, where they work very well in normal situations. And there are the intelligent suits as well, which makes it supply chain bit intelligent. But I think how these collaborations can also be reduced from manual interventions to the automatic one, and that's why you need some kind of decision making. Normal rule-based decision making is fine, but I think now is the need for the more complex rule-based decision making, and systems really need to not only see in the these current associated systems, but what is external factors, like external factors of COVID, external factors of some disruption in a very specific country, or external factors in some specific plants. So those factors, if they are not taken into the account, we can try to bring in those also as the feed or inputs to these systems, and they can help you to taking the right decisions. So those kind of systems in the AI, by even considering the external systems also, would be required in any kind of collaboration system, especially the supply chain or supplier collaboration systems.
True, because decision making and with the current uncontrollable external factors, so it's going to be a very crucial point for companies to take critical decisions.
Yes.
So, what lessons can you share for buyers and suppliers operating in the new normal? Since new normal is the buzzword now. So, what lessons do you think? I mean, they can learn or you can share with them.
Right. So the very first thing is this, that innovation is the thing which every organization need to have it, and which they need to bring into their processes, which they need to bring in their systems. The systems, if they are collaborating, then it needs to be as part of that also. We are talking about the AI, we are talking about the AR, VR, we are talking about the automation. So all these systems needs to be in the place, because there are cases when not everybody is having digital systems. Many of them, they are still managing in the older way. I think that's what is changing now. So you need to really ready for the change to or for the adoption of changes. Bring in the new set of technologies, new set of systems which can assist or that can completely replace the current processes. Those which are collaborating, make sure that they make their systems more agile, because that's the kind of thing which would be they need to be ready to if any kind of change is there, and they need to even make sure that their people also understand those change. So that's why, again, to train them, then they would need systems at in the organization which can even train people offline or people online in whichever the way that can be done. So every aspects needs to make sure that in the business, make sure that how this can be done automatically, how this can be done uh, online with the digital way of doing it, their solutions on the cloud. They make sure that they have some dependencies on these intelligent software, and they maintain their cash flows or plan for these cash flows also well.
Thank you for those lessons. I'm sure our viewers will benefit from your insights. Coming to my next question, the growth of web content management systems is driven by demand of organizations to deliver personalized content and increase the interactions with the customers present online. So what do you think the future of personalization looks like?
Okay, so the thing is, we have been seeing the personalization content maybe in last few years more and more, and these days it's there in many places. Now I will say that maybe I'll again split into two. That one, because of this current situation, you really need some kind of personalization, and companies who are ready for this or ready for the change for the personalization, they are going to gain something, or they're going to make some market for themselves. Those who are not able to do, I think they would left behind, or if they've done some kind of changes slowly to even to make sure to people understand that they are available in a different way, or their products are available in different way, even during the lockdowns, so they can still use it. So that means some kind of personalization was required, and if somebody has done it, then they gain some market share. And going forward, after the lockdown things or the social distancing things would not be there. So that's, I say, the second part of it, where there'll be lots of opportunities when some new people are coming first time on the digital system. There are different businesses or people are there who would now understand that they also need to see something beyond their traditional business or traditional way of buying and selling experience. So for them also personalization content would really be required, and content would make a key for any business, or which will make a difference also. And so that would be really important. And I would say that uh, it's about personalization content, or it's about the companies who are into this, those who can survive this, they would really become the kind of market leader also later, because it's a real test for them for the kind of financial planning they had it, budgeting planning they had it, business plan, execution, the kind of team they had it. So they would really become the market leader, and making things digital, or even coming with a personalization would really help them to uh, get their better share in this business.
So, Deepak, my last question to you is, we've spoken about startups in our initial conversation, wherein technological innovation will be important for startups to survive in the longer run. Uh, but so in for the startups, so even you mentioned that if startups who are in certain products which might not work in the current crisis, they need to make a shift. So can you, what suggestions would you have for the startups, wherein which direction or which area that they should focus their innovation, that they should focus their technological innovation or their products, which can help them sustain in the post-pandemic world?
Actually, this technology-led business model will emerge as more critical and important than ever. So that's the key thing. The technology is really required, and they will really play a key role on defining the strategy. So the strategy which they can apply into their current business model, if it fits well. If it doesn't fit well, then look for the shift, and with the shift again, we'll go for the newer set of technology. Because technology-backed business model would be the way forward. We can see in the educational institutions, those who are not really using it, they are moved in that, and they are doing fine. I think they are still able to serve the society because they need to still keep training the students or skill-based education which is required, and they are helping it. People are working from home. Banks are typically really not, or fintechs are not for work from home kind of thing because of the security measures and all. Now we see that there will be even a shift, because why I cannot have a secure work environment at home if I can have it at office. So those things are also coming up, and lots of startup would gain in the area of security. They would gain in the area of performance engineering, because lots and lots of people are going to work from home. Everybody is available online. It's not just a normal day work which we are doing, but in the different time zones. So that's there. And based on these various lessons which we are learning from the COVID, they are reinforcing and validating our current global crisis, a model which is coming out of global crisis. So those things which a startup can use, they need to focus on innovation, because growth would come to organization, either a big or small, and that would not be linear growth. That would be really the growth which everybody would look for, and though that will come only with the innovative solutions. And they need to, and people need to see that the technologies of technology 4.0, which everybody talks about, like IoT or BI or analytics or big data, intelligent systems, all those are the area where there is opportunity to grab it. We would seeing that we were taking assistance of technology, and I would say that now as human we would be assisting technology to take decisions for us. Earlier it used to be the other way. So there are lots of market for startup, or lots of exciting things are going to happen in the future.
Thank you very much on that optimistic note, with a lot of opportunities and a lot of new things that we might get to see in this, once this crisis is under control. Thank you so much, Deepak, for taking our time and participating in this interview. The insights have been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks to Mantra Labs for having me on this online channel.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.